Hello once again, and welcome to Learn Python 3 the Hard Way, exercise 48. Now we're going to start preparing you to do a final project. Actually, we've sort of been doing that, but in this case, this is actually a feature of your project. And this is going to lead you to have a smarter input into your game. And at the end of the exercise, or end of the book, you're going to have a game that's going to be online, and people can actually enter in sentences, and you can actually process the sentences correctly. So what we're going to be doing is creating something called a lexicon, and that can be just a dictionary, basically. And it's going to consist of words that are directions, verbs, stop words. So these are usually ignored. The, in, of, from, you don't really need to know those. In a more advanced system you would, but in this it's very simple. And door, bear, princess, cabinet, and then any string of numbers, so any kind of numbers. Now, there's a few things to cover, and I'm going to come over here and start Python. First up, you know you can do this, so this is that. Nope, I need an equal sign. And you can call split with a space, right? You've done that before. Well, one thing that you can do with split is you can get rid of any parameters, and it will assume all space-like characters. So it can be backslash tabs, backslash new line, space, 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 right? If I print that, out, it's going to print with tabbed in and new lines and the whole works, right? But if I split it, it's going to break at this, here, and all that. So see how this is that? So that's a way to reliably break a piece of text on any space characters, something that we want to do in this exercise. Okay, the next thing to cover is how you can use exceptions to handle bad input. So we're going to work with numbers. So you already know how we can do this. We can do, let me think. Yeah, let me do it this way. Int hello. So we do that and we get this value error, right? Now we already know about classes, so now I can explain what that value error is. It's a class. And actually, I believe I can go like this. There's the class value error, and I can do class. There we go. And that's it. So we get this value error, and you get a keyboard interrupt is another one, and so on. These are all what's called exception classes, so you can actually handle multiple exceptions. So in the case of an int, I can do try int, and I'm just going to go like that, okay? And accept value error, and then I can print out bad number. And it'll print bad number. You can think of a try except as kind of like an if statement. It's sort of saying, if there is an error, go here. That's what it's going to do. If there's no error, it runs this, and then it goes all around the except and comes down there. All right, so I have in the book a very simple way of handling numbers, so that way you get some kind of input. We're going to return none whenever the number is bad. So we can say if convert number equals none, then it's a bad number. And if we get a number, which is going to be 0 or something else, then we're good. So it's going to return int, and we're done. Now I can show you another thing about exceptions, just to sort of round out exceptions. Here's what I'm calling super int input. Oh, and actually I got to change this to none. That's what we want. Okay, super int input is basically we're going to do a try, and we're going to do int input and a prompt, and then it will return I. So if everything works, this runs, this runs just fine, these two lines, 3 and 4, and then after that, it returns, so the function exits. But if there's an error, we can pick which error we want to handle. If there's a value error, do this. But if there's a keyboard interrupt, do that. Keyboard interrupts when you hit Control-C and abort something. And then everything else, do print unknown error. In the same way that you do if statements, you always have an else. It's kind of good to always have an except that handles everything. I know in some languages except doesn't handle everything, which is incredibly irritating. But in this case, it should handle everything. I'm not sure if they've made that a thing yet. Anyways, so I'm going to do this. I'm calling this file ex48.py. This isn't your actual exercise, but let me do this. Okay. So now I have ex48 it's called superint input. Superint input. I'm going to do the prompt as that. Okay. So now if I hit Control C, it runs this branch, aborted, and returns none. Okay. And actually we can do this. We'll go like this. We'll go j equals that. Okay. So if j equals none, print bad number, like that. Okay. There we go. All right. So now if superint, now we're going to do punch a bad number in. There we go. And then if j equals none, bad number. See that? And now we're going to do superint, and I wonder if what's another exception we could try. I can't really think of one that I can make happen from this. Those are kind of the two. So we'll just go with that. Hit Control C. But if there was any other kind of error, anything we couldn't anticipate, it would do this. So that's sort of a way you can make a very robust input. It's not ideal. In a lot of ways, this is, I'm returning a number and checking for none. It's a little more convenient, but I think it would be better to sort of like handle each of these inputs with their own exception. So what I would do would be make one exception for input error, and then I would use that in my game, and then I would have these. Just use the input error. Anyways, rather than printing. Okay, so there's that. Now the next thing, you are going to write a test. So to do this, now if you want to try this on your own, ex48. No, I'm calling it lexicon tests. Yes, that's what I want. Okay, if you want to try this on your own, okay, then I recommend you read this description here, where we're going to write a bit of test that fails, and then write the skeleton function that the test needs, then fill the skeleton with comments, and then replace the comments and keep redoing that. So you've got to test first. This is what this is. Now, this is the entire file. So I'm going to delete all of this, and I'm going to delete that. This is where you start. In fact, honestly, this is where you start. Now, if I run this, if I go get out of this, and I do nose test ex lexicon tests, okay, that should abort. Because it says from ex48 import lexicon. I can't do that. So now you have your first thing you have to fix. You can kind of use your test as a to-do list, right? So you do make dir ex48. All right. And that means I need a lexicon py file in there. So let me do, probably easiest is to do control new, control save, and I'm going to save it in ex48. Hello. I'm going to call it lexicon tests.py. There we go. Now we run it. Oh, that's already created. All right, cannot import name. So let's try it here. From ex48 import, oh wait, what did I name it? Maybe I named it wrong. Let's check. Oh yeah, why did I do that? That is not what it's supposed to be called. All right, now we know the error. Quit rm ex48. Okay, try this one more time. Save it. ex48 lexicon.py. That's what I wanted to create. Just save it. It's an empty file. Run my nose tests again. Cannot import lexicon ex48. What's in ex48? Let's do new item, type file ex48, dunder init dunder.py. One more time. Now it runs. Awesome. You know, that's very weird because in a previous exercise, we didn't need the dunder init.py. So always make that file. I think maybe it's random whether that needs to be there or not. All right. Now we've got that working, right? So now let's do the next little piece. This right here. All you have to do is that. You just got to get that working. However, that is very tricky. That's like a big deal right away. So we again use the test as kind of a to-do list. We need to make a scan function. So we're going to come in here and we're going to just come down and do scan. And we're going to use the test to sort of figure out, okay, it says north, right? So we want to be able to pass in north and we want to get this back, right? So one thing you can do, depending on your style, some people like to do it this way. So I define scan and I'm going to go, I'm going to call this sentence, right? And I'm going to return none just to make a first stab at this. Now, my error is not that scan is missing, but that none does not equal this. So next up, some people would do this. They would get rid of none, and they would replace it with no, that's not what I would do. Oh yeah, let me go back to the test. I'll just grab this, copy it, do this, get that in there. All right. So they would just do that just to make the test sort of run. Oops. Oh, and then I need that and flip back. There we go. Now we have one test running. We have the bare minimum to get the test to go. So there's two styles. One style is keep the test broken until you've fully implemented it. The other style is get the test working at all costs, then keep it working. So it's up to you to try. We're going to try this first one. Okay, so we've got that much. Now notice, what am I doing? I'm popping back and forth between these two. I'm holding down Alt and hitting Tab, or if you're on a Mac, Command and hitting Tab, and you're flipping back and forth, and you just do tiny bits at a time. We use the test to keep track of where we need to go. So once we have this much, we can actually sit here and keep running this test over and over and over and over, and having it test everything while we sit and hang out here and make it work. Okay, now go ahead and stop right now if you want to attempt to solve this on your own, because I'm going to give you a clue that will help you if you get totally stuck, okay? If you want, we're going to stop and then come back after you've tried to solve it. Okay, you've tried to make this work, right? And you're sort of struggling with it, and I'm going to bet it's because you are not using a dictionary. So here's what we're going to do. What we want to do, I'm going to give you a quick example of this. North is going to return direction. Okay, that's your first clue. Everyone else, or a lot of people who try to implement this, try to do this. They try to make a list. And then they try to go north, direction. Okay, this is not what list should do. Now, I will say one place where list is more important is when you want things to have precedent. Where I want, say, north to be more important than south, I will do this. Okay, and then I will walk through these tuples comparing this to each one until I find the best match, the first match. But that's not the case we're working with here. What we want is when given a word, we pop back direction. Okay, so now we sort of have the basis for what we want. So we're doing just this much. So what do? First we have results. I'm going to try that. Right? And then I'm going to say words equals sentence dot split. Okay, remember we covered that. And then I'm going to say for word in words. Okay, and I'm going to say results dot append. And what I want to append is a tuple And in the tuple is word, and then lexicon. You know what? Actually, we're going to do word type here. And we're going to go word type equals lexicon word. Nope, that's still not correct. Get word. Remember, we want to be able to get the word. And actually, I'm going to show you something from that. And then we want to return results. Now, I'm doing this because, well, one, I already did it, but also because I need to make the video shorter, to be honest. I'm going to show you this. Okay, so what we returned was get north none, and what it expected was direction north. Oh, I flipped it around. All right, so we've got two problems. We're returning the wrong thing, and we're also returning, oops, back to lexicon, also returning it in the wrong order. So we want word type, and we want word. Okay. Oh, and then I typed the string word. There we go, and our test runs. So that should get you pretty far. So what you can do then is then start popping in the rest of the test. So let's see what this does. So let's do north, south, east. Let's see what that does. Okay, so we expected north, south, direction, direction, but what we got was none, none, right? So now we go back and we implement a little bit more of the test. And in this case, all we have to do is do south is direction, east is direction, and let's just fill it out, west is direction. Okay, pop back, run it again. Now it works. Now we come back and we do the next thing. So we'll do that much. You might type it all out, but I would actually just type just this much. Okay, that fails because it's none. So now we just fill in all the verbs. So go is the next verb. So now we're going to go, verb. Try that, Control S, pop back to the test. There we go. Now we have the test. Now we're going to go here. Let's see what we need. We can do the whole thing. All right, we need verbs for kill, eat, and kill and eat. So now I'm going to come up here. Kill is a verb. Eat is a verb. All right, run it one more time, and now that works. And then the next part, let's test out the next piece. And we're going to go the in of, so we can actually just go ahead and run this. And, oh, and we actually have a whole bunch of stuff down there. And let's just do it this way. Just keep up the trend, run it one more time. Stop the. Let's do that. The is a stop. Test. Pretty good. Fix our test up. Do some more of the test. Now we need stop and of. So we're going to come back to here and we're going to do of. And what was the other one? Of and in. Stop. In. Run it again, and now that works. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do, we got nouns, and we have numbers, and we have errors. So we have a whole bunch of these things to test out. So again, we're going to do nouns next, and then do numbers. Now I'm not going to complete it, because you should have enough now to finish this up. I'm not going to give a full solution because that sort of cheats you out of the entire point of this. But the entire process you should have seen is do a tiny bit at a time, and I'm sitting here flipping back and forth, making those show up, test. A little bit of code, get it working, test. A little bit test, a little bit of code, get it working, test. Over and over and over again until it works. All right. So once you get that working, remember, follow what's in here in this exercise. And once you get that working, move on to 49, which has the next piece you always need when you do parsing, which is you have to have a way of getting words, and then you have to have a way of building some kind of structure. In our case, we're going to build a sentence. All right, I'll see you at that exercise.